and presidents. To that end, Dr. King uses a biblical reference to Pharaoh. You know, whenever Pharaoh wanted to prolong the period of slavery in Egypt, he had a favorite formula for doing it. What was that? He kept the slaves fighting among themselves. But whenever the slaves get together, something happens in Pharaoh's court, and he cannot hold the slaves in slavery. When the slaves get together, that's the beginning of getting out of slavery. Now let us maintain unity. Dr. King called for a united front in support of the sanitation workers because he knew the strength in numbers. He had seen the power of unity beginning with the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott and continuing over the next 13 years from Montgomery to Memphis. Dr. King went on to speak of the unstoppable force that was nonviolent resistance, which he learned through his diligent study of Mahatma Gandhi. He shared how in Alabama the police turned the dogs and water hoses on the marchers, but to no effect. They continued singing, "Ain't Gonna Let Nobody Turn Me Around." He urged the attendees at Mason Temple to participate in the march and to do so non-violently, because that strategy continued to be effective. Dr. King also spoke of economic unity through boycott. He called for the boycott of major consumer corporations that were engaging in unfair hiring and employment practices, which included the major food and beverage companies of the day. Dr. King first learned of the impact of this tactic during the Montgomery bus boycott, when the black citizens of Montgomery almost bankrupted the bus line by holding back the black dollar for over a year. The economic boycott brought the city to its knees. At the same time, Dr. King called for support of black businesses, using banks and insurance companies as examples. Dr. King stated, "We've got to strengthen black institutions. I call upon you to take your money out of the banks downtown and deposit your money in Tri-State Bank. We want a bank-in movement in Memphis." There are those who have criticized Dr. King because they felt that the integration of white businesses occurred to the detriment of black-owned businesses. But the Reverend makes it clear in his final speech that he greatly encouraged the support of black-owned businesses. Additionally, Dr. King discussed the important role of the church and its ministers in the civil rights movement. He went on to say, "It's all right to talk about long white robes over yonder, in all of its symbolism. But ultimately people want some suits and dresses and shoes to wear down here. It's all right to talk about streets flowing with milk and honey. But God has commanded us to be concerned about the slums down here, and His children who can't eat 3 square meals a day. It's all right to talk about the New Jerusalem, but one day God's preacher must talk about the new New York, the new Atlanta, the new Philadelphia, the new Los Angeles, the new Memphis, Tennessee. This is what we have to do." This calls to mind the biblical verse found in James chapter 2, verse 17, which teaches that faith without works is dead. I hope you now agree that focusing on the last stanzas of "I've Been to the Mountaintop" is as unjust as simply reading the last stanzas of "I Have a Dream." Dr. King's messages were often robust and multi-layered. To fully appreciate the speech and his call for support of the striking Memphis sanitation workers, one must grasp the various layers of the speech. May we continue to study the actual words of Dr. King in all their richness, juxtaposed to reading others' works about Dr. King, which may be filtered and short-sighted. Let this reading of the speech take you back to Mason Temple in 1968. May it inspire you to see the work left to do and encourage you to make a difference.